What is going on, ladies and gents? Once again, Michael or Legacy Killer HD back today with another video for you. Today we're going to be doing something different, something we'll be discussing a lot more in the future, and that is the Elder Scrolls 6. We're going to be going through some of the facts that have come out. We're also going to be discussing some of the theories and rumors that have been floating, also pretty much going over the plot, the story, the setting, the location, and possibly the release date. To begin, we're going to start with the known facts. Bethesda has stated they are working on 3 projects. Todd Howard, the director and EP at Bethesda Game Studios, has stated, "We have 3 longer-term projects we're doing that are all, well, we'll talk about them at a much future date, but they're different than anything we've done before, but while also being a Bethesda-style game. Big and crazy, but in many ways different than things we've done before." They also recently opened a new studio in Montreal. It has said to be working on mobile games, but Todd Howard and Pete Hines have also said that they are working on other things, which the other things unfortunately we don't know. Pete Hines did refer to the Elder Scrolls next title as being a Skyrim 2. A lot of websites have taken this out of proportion, saying we're actually getting a Skyrim 2, or a lot of them don't understand the franchise and get that this is going to be probably a lot more in the future. But what he actually said was this: "It's rare to have franchises like the ones we have and have people joking about when is Skyrim 2 coming out," says Hines. "The reason they say this is because generally speaking that's what you'd be getting with another publisher in charge. They'd be spitting out a Skyrim 2 the year after or 2 years later. That's just how we view it. We're not the sort of publisher that focuses on what's our 25 titles for 2015. We do smaller stuff. We don't publish to scale, we try to publish to quality. Make sure everything we do is noteworthy. Our approach to everything has been differed. Here and there we might change our approach to how it's presented, but we've still stuck to who we are." That's Pete Hines, the Vice President of Public Relations and Marketing. Basically, Pete Hines pretty much just sums it up. Bethesda Game Studios is not about putting games out every single year. They make sure they take their time on their titles and they deliver an experience that gamers will remember. Now to our next part, we have the teasers from past games. Bethesda Game Studios has done this perfectly. They teased in Fallout 3 the androids being a part of the next title. It was so subtle that a lot of people did not realize it. We have Dr. Dwemer. He discusses about a runaway android and him having to run it down. They also discuss in Fallout 4 why they don't call them androids anymore. It was so subtle, but it pretty much set up for what is Fallout 4 and pretty much the major plot line. And this was why I think in their next title we will be getting a lot of what was featured in Skyrim, or pretty much teased. That's why in the next Elder Scrolls game I can see a Dwemer's return. I'm not exactly sure what role they will be, but I definitely know we will find out what exactly happened to them. What we do know so far is that they disappeared mysteriously. When they were at the Red Mountain, they tried utilizing the Heart of Lorkhan, and a powerful Dwemer enchanter and wizard, Kagranak, discovered and utilized the Heart of Lorkhan to try to bring his race to immortality. What ended up happening was that they created the brass god Numidium, and they utilized the Heart of Lorkhan and their souls and they put it into Numidium. What we don't know is if this was intentional or not, but what ended up happening was Numidium was destroyed, it was brought back together, and then it was destroyed again. But overall, the last we know of Numidium is that it was lost in time itself, which pretty much people make out that the Dwemer is gone forever and we will never know exactly what happened to them. That's why this is a big mystery, and that is the strongest theory that is out there. But what is interesting is during a section of dialogue, Felian, the Redguard mage and court wizard of Morthal, claims to have met with Dwemer in the Plains of Oblivion. What this could mean is that Dwemer are alive and they have maybe achieved their paradise or so on, which could set up for a return to Tamriel or Nirn in the next Elder Scrolls game. But that is not the only little hint that we've gotten of the Dwemer. If you go way back all the way to Morrowind, we have Yegrum Bagarn, who is the last living Dwemer. He survived or didn't go missing because of the fact that he was at an undescribed outer realm at the time. It was not affected by his race's mysterious disappearance. He does state that he has done research into finding out what happened to his race, but unfortunately he has not gotten any answers. These are just some of the minimal hints that we've gotten in the Elder Scrolls series about the possible Dwemer's return. And this is just a little bit of what has been said. There's a lot of context and a lot of discussion about the Dwemer. A lot of fascination over their society and how they were so advanced and how a race could just miraculously disappear off Nirn. But we'll get back to the Dwemer. We're actually going to tie that into our next discussion, and that is going to be going with the Aldmeri Dominion, or the Thalmor. One of the biggest parts of Skyrim was the Thalmor's aggressions toward our player. No matter what, they just seemed like a race that really hated the guts out of us, no matter who we were. And at least that's how I feel towards them. They were pretty much seen as an enemy, and there wasn't much discussed about them. All we know is that this is a cold war for the Imperials and the Aldmeri Dominion, and that's why it sets up perfectly for the next game, for the centerpiece plot being an Aldmeri Dominion versus the Empire 2.0 pretty much. But to understand what has happened, you really got to understand what has happened in the 4th era, pretty much the past. I'm going to leave probably a timeline on the screen or in the description, check either one, but you guys will see that there has been a lot of events that have happened. The Thalmor have taken a lot of territory, and there already has been a war. And that's why in Skyrim it is said to be a cold war between the Thalmor and the Imperials. Ironically enough, the Thalmor in Skyrim actually refer to the Great War as the First War with the Empire. This pretty much suggests that the Thalmor intend a second war, but they have already begun to plan its execution. Conversely, it is heavily implied, most notably in the remarks made by various members of the Legion, that the Empire is taking its own measures. But what I hope for the Elder Scrolls 6 is that the Imperials actually go on the offensive, and that's why I hope if Valenwood or an elsewhere setting takes place, it would be fun going into a Thalmor-controlled territory and fighting back, and either way we would have to choose a side if we want to be part of the Aldmeri Dominion or the Imperials, and possibly maybe there are other political factions that we can join. And this would set up perfectly for maybe during the mid-war the Dwemer's return. They come back and they face as the antagonists of the next title, or they come back and they take a place in this war. We figure out what place they could be on, maybe the Imperials, maybe the Aldmeri Dominion, but personally I feel like the dwarves would want to have their own side and take their own place into this war, as it feels like their society as a whole has always been for control for themselves, or to pretty much be the better race. To one of my last discussion points, we have what will be the setting of the Elder Scrolls 6 and possibly the location. I personally believe this game will be shortly forward, maybe a half a century or a century forward, and the game will be taking place in Valenwood. I see a lot of people have been theorizing that we could be getting 2 continents or 2 provinces, Valenwood and elsewhere, but personally I feel like Bethesda will be concentrating on one continent, and I feel like Valenwood would fit perfect if they do go down the plot line of Imperials versus Thalmor. But you could also make the case that Black Marsh could work, as it is a neutral land so far, and they have taken most of Morrowind now. But the big discussion point with Black Marsh is, will a swampy type of land fit for a game? And you could make a debate pretty much for it, and personally I'm just glad that we're going to be getting away from Skyrim in a lot of ways. I feel like Skyrim lacked, as it was a little bit more colder and darker, and I feel like a little bit more of a brighter, different type of landscape and culture and environment will be a lot fun to explore. Not trying to take anything away from Skyrim, I just kind of want to have a feel more closer to Oblivion, as that was my favorite Elder Scrolls title. I did like Skyrim a lot, I just feel like I want to explore something a little bit more different this time around. Now to our next topic, it is, who will our character be? There's no chance of returning to the last Dragonborn. This will be a new character and story. If anything, the Dragonborn will be mentioned with his battle with Alduin. This will be a character which probably won't be a normal individual. I personally believe we will be getting a Shezarine. It's an influential and sometimes godlike figure who's believed to be a mortal incarnation of the missing god Lorkhan, or one of his aspects. They are considered to be the greatest champions of humankind, often appearing to defend their people against elven aggressors, which would set up perfectly for the plotline that I have talked about in this video, an Imperial versus Aldmeri Dominion war. Now to our last topic of the day, and that is the release date for the Elder Scrolls 6. I personally believe we will be seeing it in late 2018 or 2019. I just don't see Bethesda announcing a title being released 2017 or 2016. It just doesn't make any sense. They take their time on titles. I know that they've been expanding their studio, but either way, they're going to take their time and they're going to make sure this is a great game that we'll be experiencing. At E3, we'll probably just get a little bit of an announcement, maybe a title, maybe a couple of points about what the game could be about, but that's just about it. I don't plan on seeing a trailer or anything revealed. If anything, Bethesda may give us a cryptic message that we'll be discussing for months on hand. Either way, guys, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think the plotline of the next game could be. It could be something completely different, and do you guys see a Dwemer's return? And when do you think we will be seeing the Elder Scrolls 6, and where do you think we'll be playing? And will it be Valenwood, elsewhere, Black Marsh, or could it be somewhere completely different, maybe Akavir? Anyway, guys, there are just so many other questions that are out there about the next Elder Scrolls game. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe, and make sure to dive into the comment section, get interactive, and let's start a discussion going about what the next Elder Scrolls 6 game will be like. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.